And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome to Alaska Weather. I'm National Weather Service Meteorologist Peter Chan coming to you on this Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. And in addition to the weather information I provide here, you can go to weather.gov. That is National Weather Service's online presence. It'll bring you to a point-and-click map here of the continental U.S. with Alaska and Hawaii at the lower left. You point-click anywhere on this map, it'll bring up a forecast for that location along with any relevant watches, warnings, or advisories. And on the weather map this afternoon, we have severe thunderstorm watches across areas of the Central Plains down into West Texas. And there's some really warm air. The past couple of afternoons, Chicago has had high temperatures in the mid and upper 80s in early October. And we've definitely cooled down well into a fall pattern. We experienced another volcanic eruption of Shishaldin early this morning, just prior to 6 a.m. It has since settled down. I'll talk a little more about that in a moment. The Katmai Nova Rupta volcanic eruption of 1912 laid down a bunch of ash. Gusty northwest winds yesterday into this morning caused that ash to be resuspended, impacting areas around Kodiak Island, but that's settling down now as those gusty northwest winds have died down. And there's been mainly light snow falling across areas of the central interior up through the Alaska Range and Fairbanks, an inch or two of snow being reported there this morning and early afternoon. We're going to get another low move out of the Gulf, or I should say out of the North Pacific up into the southern tip of the Alaska Peninsula on Thursday, and that's going to bring a round of moderate to heavy rain and coastal mountain snows, along with some gale force winds all along the Gulf Coast into the Panhandle here Thursday into Friday. So a quick check on Shishaldin volcano there at the tip of the Alaska Peninsula. Earlier there had been a plume of gas, sulfur dioxide gas, and some volcanic ash that went northeastward at a flight level of 30 to 40,000 feet. And that has since dissipated as it just passed south and east of Kodiak Island. We now have a plume of light ash and some gas that's drifting southwestward from the volcano here, and will be moving over the eastern Aleutians tonight, surface to 25,000 feet. So beware of that, and there will be any further updates if necessary here as we go through the later evening. Looking at a couple of the FAA webcams, well, here in the central interior, Denali National Park, the entrance there, snow, a good couple inches of snow, temperature only 28 degrees as of 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And as we go to Kodiak City there on Kodiak Island, looking southwestward, those high clouds are the harbingers of that next system that'll be lifting out of the North Pacific and then bringing a frontal system that brings gale force winds and more moderate to heavy rain along areas of the Gulf Coast Thursday into early Friday. But Kodiak City enjoying some sun today with the temperature 52 degrees in the early afternoon. Something else coming up tomorrow, Wednesday, October 4th, roughly right around 10:20 a.m., Alaska Daylight Time, FEMA will conduct an emergency test of the emergency alert system. This will be a national test nationwide. These are the type of alerts for a presidential emergency if there was an alert because of some national emergency or weather-related emergency like tornado warnings, hurricane warnings, flash flood warnings, or amber alerts. This is just a test of the system, so you may notice on your television, radio, or your wireless phone, your mobile device, a test alert tone going off. You don't have to do anything, but just acknowledge the fact you received it. Is important to know that you can get such warning if an actual emergency did arise. So that test, again, is going to occur tomorrow at 10:20 a.m. or Wednesday morning at 10:20 a.m. Looking at the satellite imagery, here comes the clouds with the next low down there in the North Pacific. There's another low and occluded front here, central Aleutians back toward the western Bering, and then a pocket of cloud cover producing the light snow that I just showed you around the central Alaska Range, Denali Park, Nenana, on up toward Fairbanks. Fairbanks has picked up nearly an inch of snow from this system, and definitely colder temperatures lie now across the central northern interiors. Brooks Range this morning, Anatuvik Pass was down to 12 above for the state's low temperature, and we'll likely see some temperatures colder than that where we get some new fresh snow cover and where skies clear out. But on the weather map this Tuesday afternoon, we have the hints of a warm front pushing up out of the North Pacific associated with that low. Weak high pressure along the west coast, trough here along the northwest coast there west of Barrow and Wainwright, and then we have a couple of weaker lows back out across the western portion of the Bering Sea and Aleutians. So later tonight, early on Wednesday morning, we'll find this low lifting out of the North Pacific, approaching the Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island. High pressure out over the eastern interior. Still some dissipating pockets of a little light snow or flurries there in the east central interior, and some lighter snow showers along areas of the Arctic coast. Behind me we have the low that's sitting out there now just north of the western Aleutians in the lower Bering Sea. And then by the time we get into Wednesday afternoon, we have a low that's down near 987 millibars. It'll further deepen close to 980 millibars by Thursday, but that low is going to pull right up over the lower portion of the Alaska Peninsula, forcing this front to just line up along the curvature of the Gulf Coast. And along this front, there will be some gale force winds along with some moderate to heavier precipitation coming up into the north central, northeastern Gulf Coast and northern Panhandle as we go through Thursday night, early Friday. On the backside of the low, you're really going to see the winds kick up here, Norton Sound, lower Yukon Delta, St. Lawrence Island, as a result of just the tightening pressure gradient. You're not really going to get much in the way of precipitation. It's going to be a dry, cold, east-northeast offshore flow coming in off the land, but there could be some higher surf along St. Lawrence Island and some of these areas here along the coast as a result of this system pulling up into the lower part of the Alaska Peninsula. Here it is Thursday afternoon. We have a low down near 980 millibars with an occluded front extending east. Warmer air, push of moisture there really serving to bring some heavier rainfall across areas of the coast, and then the intercoastal mountains going to pick up some heavier snowfall too. And as that moisture travels further inland and encounters the colder air, we could see some more snow, accumulating snows break out across portions of the northern Copper River Basin, Alaska range, and even pushing up a little further north than that by the time we get into late Thursday night, Friday. South winds with this system will be near gale force in some areas. Some of the strongest winds Thursday afternoon will be back here toward lower Cook Inlet around Kamishak Bay there, the entrance of Cook Inlet. So again, this will be a typical, pretty decent fall system. Definitely we've slid into a solid fall pattern that has hints of early winter weather, which is not uncommon for early October. It's just be nice if we could have a few more dry, mild days yet, but not going to be the case. So looking at what we have coming up, lows upper 30s, lower 40s in the Panhandle Wednesday morning, as cold as maybe down around 10 above at Glen Allen. 22 Talkeetna, so certainly colder the further north you go, the higher up you go in elevation as you go toward the interior. Down upper 20s, around 30 in the Anchorage Bowl. And temperatures Wednesday afternoon, still some low mid-50s outer southern part of the Panhandle, but back through south central, highs only mid-upper 40s, maybe 51 there at Kodiak City. And temperatures Thursday morning with the cloud cover and push of moisture coming in, 18 at Glen Allen, but temperatures stay above freezing in the 30s. Along the Gulf Coast, even here in the 40s, mid-upper 40s across areas of the central and lower Panhandle. And then temperatures Thursday afternoon should generally be in the 50s, could flirt with 60 there at Heidelberg or Craig. And areas further west, generally mid-upper 40s for high south central Kenai Peninsula, a few spots around 50. In the far north, 10 above Anatovik Pass, 8 above there, Arctic Village. So it will be chilly if you have had some light snow. Skies clear out. You could see some areas in the single digits, generally above zero. Along the Arctic coast, temperatures a bit below zero, 20s along the Seward Peninsula. Temperatures for highs only in the 20s along the Brooks Range, so it'll stay below freezing there. Little above freezing, Fairbanks 36, 35 at Fort Yukon, 36 over here at Nome, 34 at Shishmaref, and even along the northwest Arctic coast, highs generally right around or just above freezing. Lows Thursday morning, starting to see more in the way of single digits along the southern slope there, the Brooks Range, and temperatures similarly generally below freezing along the Arctic coast and areas of the Brooks Range. back up mid-30s, Fairbanks, as well as back here toward the Seward Peninsula. And for the southwest, interior areas will be below freezing along and west of the Alaska Range, holding above freezing along the immediate say lower Yukon, Kuskokwim Basin deltas there with 39 or so expected around Hooper Bay and areas around Etolan Strait. And then Wednesday afternoon, temperatures will be up around 50 at King Salmon and Kodiak, and even down to the south toward Chiknik and perhaps False Pass. And then as we go into Thursday morning, lows will generally get below freezing the further up you go along the Yukon or Kuskokwim rivers. But along the coast, with the winds picking up, we're going to see winds really start to pick up out of the northeast here. So strong offshore flow across Norton Sound and the lower Yukon Delta shaping up for Thursday as that low comes up here across the lower portion of the Alaska Peninsula. And temperatures Thursday morning will be rising or steady to rising in the 40s along the peninsula, and getting temperatures, slight little warmer sector of air will just nose in ahead of the occluded front to maybe about 54, 55 at Kodiak City, and then cooler highs only near 40 back here toward the Kuskokwim Bay. And as we head out down along the Aleutians, temperatures upper 40s to low 50s. Now here's the extended temperature forecast as we head toward mid-month, October 9th through the 13th. No warm air. In fact, temperatures are likely going to average below normal over much of the southwest mainland, including the Alaska Peninsula, down through Kodiak Island, and areas further east near or a bit below normal. So again, any hopes for some nice, dry, mild fall weather, that's pretty much gone. And precipitation is expected to average below normal here across the southwest from Norton Sound down across Dillingham and into the Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island, which would suggest you might have a cooler northeasterly flow with lows setting up over here, allowing some moisture to funnel up more along the Alcan border and into parts of the Panhandle. But again, a pretty solid fall pattern now that we've emerged into, and at times we'll see some winter weather, especially in the higher elevations of the mountains and in through the interior where the colder air resides.